A Navy SEAL father on leave never expected danger to follow him home. But when gunfire shattered a quiet Seattle night, and a young police officer collapsed on the rain-soaked pavement, bleeding and alone, he didn't hesitate. While terrified witnesses hid behind cars and concrete, he sprinted straight into the line of fire. His loyal German shepherd charged beside him, barking defiantly through the chaos. No backup, no bulletproof vest, just courage. He dragged the wounded officer out of the kill zone with one arm, shielding her with his own body as bullets sparked against the asphalt. The entire department would later replay the footage in disbelief. A civilian had done what even trained officers feared to attempt, and that act of bravery would uncover a corruption so deep it nearly tore the city apart. Rain slid like silver threads across the steep streets of Seattle, the waterfront glowing under neon reflections that shivered across the bay. The city felt caught between breaths, holding its secrets in every shadowed corner. Emily Parker moved through the drizzle with the impatient stride of someone trying to outrun disappointment. At 27, she was all contrasts, brave yet uncertain, tough yet soft behind the shield she wore every day. Her honey-blonde hair, tied in a sleek ponytail, now clung damp against her light skin. The navy blue dress she had carefully picked for this blind date, simple, just flattering enough, was covered by a leather jacket zipped halfway, as if even her clothing guarded her heart. Emily's angular jaw and sharp blue eyes revealed years of learning to survive in a world eager to underestimate her. But tonight, her gaze clouded with something she hated to admit: loneliness. The date had been a disaster from the first minute. Michael, the man her colleague had sworn was perfect, showed up late, talked only about himself, and insisted he knew policing better than she did because he watched tons of crime documentaries. She smiled through it, duty-like, counting each second until she could politely leave. When she finally did, she felt more alone than she had walking in. Emily wasn't just any young woman searching for love. She was a rookie police officer in a department where trust had rotted near the core. Corrupt officers whispering deals with criminals had shaken the city's faith. Emily had arrived with hopes of being a good cop, one who protected people the way no one protected her as a child when her firefighter father died on duty. Yet in the dim glow of Seattle's streetlights, that hope felt fragile. A block away, another story moved closer. Daniel Hayes, 32, Navy SEAL on temporary leave, ran alongside a powerful German shepherd named Hunter. Daniel's silhouette was a soldier's silhouette: broad shoulders, perfect posture, a strong frame honed by years of hardship. His dark brown hair was short, practical, his beard trimmed close enough to hide the gray that had started to show far too early. His gray eyes carried storms from places he never talked about: Afghanistan mountain nights, friends buried under flags, victories that tasted like blood instead of pride. Hunter, 5 years old, was a shepherd built from muscle and loyalty. Thick black and tan coat, intelligent ears alert to everything. He moved like a creature forged by discipline and devotion, his paws splashing puddles as he kept tight to Daniel's side. Rescue missions had bound them years ago. The dog once dragged Daniel from a collapsing hideout after an explosion. Since then, they were not just companions. They were each other's proof that survival wasn't meaningless. Daniel had come home to Seattle to try to rediscover life outside war. His younger sister insisted he needed real rest, real air, real people. Yet, every night, he still laced his boots and walked Hunter past the docks, where the cold wind reminded him what breathing felt like. He told himself it was just exercise. Deep down, It was the only place his mind stayed quiet. Emily paused at a red light beneath the old Alaskan Way viaduct, adjusting her jacket. The breeze from Elliott Bay carried the smell of sea salt and engine oil. She hated the uneasy feeling crawling beneath her skin. It was that sixth sense officers grow: danger, close, watching. A group of men lingered much too long near a row of darkened warehouses. Hoods up, movements stiff, something wrong. Emily's heart beat faster, not from fear, but instinct. Her hand drifted toward the small holstered weapon beneath her jacket. Maybe it's nothing, she tried telling herself. Yet she had heard rumors in the precinct. The Harbor Serpents gang was smuggling high-grade weapons somewhere near the port. Someone in the department was helping them. Someone with a badge. Her phone buzzed. A text from her partner. "Any sign of activity?" She typed back, "Maybe. Checking." Against every rule she'd been lectured on, she stepped into the street for a closer view. Under brighter lights now, her eyes widened. One man opened the trunk of a van. Rifles glinted under the street lamp. Then a shout. A muzzle flash. Gunfire tore the night apart. Emily gasped as a bullet ripped across her shoulder, fiery pain surging down her arm. Her legs buckled. She stumbled backward, survival instincts screaming, blood soaking through her jacket. Her vision blurred. The men advanced. As darkness pushed in, she heard something unexpected. Heavy boots sprinting closer, and a deep, fierce bark slicing through the storm. A soldier. A dog. Hope. Gunshots cracked against concrete as Daniel Hayes sprinted toward the chaos. Hunter charging ahead with a low, thunderous growl that echoed through the rainy overpass. Daniel's instincts sharpened like a blade. Situational awareness, threat angles, escape routes, all flooding back in a single breath. 3 armed men, white, mid-20s to 30s, built like street brawlers, closed in on the wounded officer. The tallest, with a shaved head and jagged scar crossing his cheek, barked orders at the others. In his posture, Daniel recognized someone addicted to power and cruelty. Emily Parker lay half-hidden behind the damaged bumper of her car, her breath rapid and shallow, one hand slick with blood as she tried to press against the wound at her shoulder. She tasted metal and rain. Fear wasn't new to her, but the helplessness of a limb refusing to obey, the sting of failure right at the moment justice was within reach. That was agony. Daniel dropped into a slide that burned through his jeans, grabbing Emily under her good arm. "I've got you," he said, voice steady, low, commanding. He didn't know her name. Didn't need to. She was his mission now. Hunter positioned himself between them and the attackers, fangs bared, fur bristling along a powerful back. When he lunged, his jaws locked onto the forearm of the man with the scar. The scream pierced the storm, the man stumbling backward in shock. The other 2 fired wildly toward the dog, bullets sparking off the asphalt. Daniel wrapped his arm around Emily's waist, lifting her enough to move. "Stay awake," he ordered. Her legs shook, but she nodded, jaw clenched, eyes wide with pain and determination. She wasn't going down without a fight. Gunfire intensified. A bullet shattered the taillight inches from Daniel's face, shards slicing his cheek. Combat reflexes roared through him. He shoved Emily behind a thick structural column, turning his body into a shield just as another round zipped past. "Back up?" he asked, scanning the shadows. Emily managed a grimace that might have been a tired smile. "On the way," she whispered, breath hitched. "I just wanted to look. Should have waited." Her voice cracked more from frustration than fear. Daniel pressed his hand to her wound, firm and sure, using his torn shirt as pressure. "You did what you thought was right." His gaze held hers, unwavering. "That matters." Sirens wailed in the distance, but still too far. The wounded thug yanked his arm free from Hunter's grip, clutching it as blood streamed down. "Shoot the dog!" he yelled, rage twisting his features. Hunter darted behind debris, fast and tactical, every move anticipating Daniel's next command. Emily forced her mind to stay present. She studied Daniel, the battle-hardened set of his jaw, the disciplined precision in his movements, the strange calm he carried like someone who had survived far worse than this alley. His hands, rough and steady, contrasted with the gentleness behind his gray eyes. Who is he? She wondered. And why would a man who carried ghosts in his stare run toward someone else's gunfire? The men regrouped, raising weapons. Daniel's pulse pounded, not in fear, but in calculation. He grabbed a broken piece of metal lying near them and hurled it toward the thugs. It clanged against the van, drawing fire away from Emily. Hunter seized the moment, tackling a second man to the ground with a bone-shaking slam. Then came headlights, multiple cars screeching onto the scene. Uniformed officers spilled out, guns raised. Their commander, Sergeant Bradley Cole, emerged first. Mid-40s, tall, sharp-shouldered, with sandy hair combed too perfectly for someone responding to emergency fire. His pale eyes locked onto Daniel, not with relief, but suspicion. His jaw tightened into a predatory smirk. "Hands where I can see them," Cole barked. "Move away from the officer, now." Daniel froze mid-compress on Emily's wound, disbelief tightening his chest. "She's hit. She needs pressure. Do it!" Cole shouted, stepping closer, voice dripping authority sharpened by ego. Two officers aimed their weapons directly at Daniel's head. Another pointed a taser at Hunter, who growled but stood still, awaiting Daniel's signal. Emily struggled to speak, fighting the pitch-black edges creeping into her vision. "He's helping." Her word dissolved into a cough of pain, but Cole didn't look at her, didn't even kneel to check her pulse. "Restrain him," he ordered. Daniel didn't resist when rough hands grabbed him, his jaw clenching in silent fury. Hunter barked in confusion as a catchpole yanked him back. Emily's fading gaze reached Daniel's, apology and terror swirling together. "This is wrong," her mind screamed. As darkness swallowed her, the last thing Emily saw was the man who saved her being forced to his knees, while the real monsters melted into the night. Fluorescent lights hummed above Daniel Hayes, casting a harsh white glare over the interrogation room's metal table. His arms were bound behind the chair, his cheeks still streaked with dried rain and blood. The room smelled of bleach and stale coffee, familiar scents from his past, though he'd been on the other side of situations like this. Every soldier knows silence. He wore his like armor. Across the one-way glass, Sergeant Bradley Cole watched him with folded arms and narrowed eyes. Cole's posture was a study in arrogance, chin lifted, shoulders rigid beneath his perfectly pressed uniform. His fair skin looked almost ghostly under the overhead lights, and his pale gray eye gave away nothing but contempt. He had built a career on control, and tonight he didn't intend to lose it. Hunter, the 5-year-old German shepherd who had once saved Daniel's life in Afghanistan, was nowhere in sight. The absence gnawed at Daniel, sharper than his stitched-up cheek or bruised ribs. He worried more for his partner than himself. Hunter would be scared, restrained, surrounded by strangers who misread his loyalty as aggression. The door creaked open. A woman stepped inside. A paramedic earlier, now in hospital scrubs and a duty jacket. Nurse Caroline Ward, mid-30s, brunette hair tied into a ponytail that had frayed over a long shift, carried a clipboard and a cautious expression. Her soft brown eyes scanned Daniel's injuries with clinical efficiency, but also with a hint of empathy, rare inside a police station tonight. "I'm just here to clean that cut," Caroline said, voice steady but gentle. She dabbed antiseptic along Daniel's cheek, her movements practiced and quick. "You should have stitches." Daniel remained silent until she finished taping the bandage. "The officer," he murmured finally. "Is she alive?" Caroline paused, studying him like she was trying to piece together the puzzle no one else wanted to solve. "She's stable. Lost a lot of blood, but the bullet didn't hit anything critical." Relief flashed in Daniel's eyes before he masked it again. Caroline lowered her voice. "They're treating you like a suspect." "But—" She kept muttering something when they wheeled her in. She leaned closer, whispering. She said, "He saved me." The door swung open, and Cole stepped inside, arrogance dripping like oil. "Break time's over," he said, dismissing Caroline with a flick of his hand. The nurse shot Daniel a supportive glance before leaving. Cole circled the table like a shark. "Former SEAL, multiple commendations, last deployment classified." He tapped the folder in his hand. "And now you just happen to be right there when one of my officers gets ambushed? Sounds staged." Daniel's jaw tightened. "People don't stage running into bullets." Cole ignored him. "You interfered in a police operation. Your dog attacked an officer." "He attacked the man shooting at her," Daniel snapped, eyes flashing. "And where were you?" "Because I didn't see you dragging her out of Gunfire." Cole's expression flickered, just for a heartbeat, with something close to fear. Then rage smothered it. He slammed his palms on the table. "Watch yourself. You think your military record makes you untouchable? You don't belong here. You don't answer to me." Daniel stared straight into Cole's pale glare. "No, I answer to what's right." The thin thread of patience snapped. Cole signaled the two officers outside. They entered, large and stone-faced. One, Officer Mark Turner, early 30s with a shaved head and a scar across his forehead, carried himself with the heavy caution of a man who'd seen too much brutality in the field. The other, Officer Ryan Blake, slender with sandy hair and a nervous twitch in his jaw, looked new to this kind of confrontation. "Take him to holding," Cole ordered, "and put the dog in isolation, classified as dangerous." Daniel's pulse hammered. "Where is Hunter?" Cole smiled, sharp and poisonous. "Hopefully still alive." Rage flared, blinding and raw. Daniel stood despite his restraints, muscles coiling like a coiled spring ready to strike. The officers grabbed him, forcing him down. But he didn't fight. Not fully. He wasn't going to become the monster Cole wanted him to be. As they dragged him from the room, he locked eyes with Cole. "You're hiding something," Daniel said quietly. "And I'm going to find out what." Cole stared back, mask cracking for the first time to reveal a flicker of panic, quickly buried. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Emily Parker drifted in and out of consciousness. Pain dulled her senses, but her mind wouldn't rest. In fragmented flashes, she saw Daniel's face, his strength, his fear for her safety, his voice pushing her to stay awake. He had saved her. She whispered hoarsely to the empty room, "They're making a mistake." And deep inside, she vowed to fix it. once she could stand again. Emily Parker awoke to the steady beep of medical monitors and the dull ache shooting from her bandaged shoulder. The hospital room was quiet, except for the rain tapping softly against the window. She blinked, willing her mind to organize the scattered fragments of the night before. The gunshots, the flash of headlights, the stranger who ran into danger for her. His name. She didn't know it. But his face and that fierce determination were imprinted deep in her memory. He saved me, and now he was being punished for it. Rage and frustration kept her awake long after exhaustion begged her to sleep. The door slid open quietly. A woman entered. Detective Laura Mitchell, mid-40s, tall with a lean, athletic build. Her auburn hair was tied into a low bun, streaked with the kind of gray that only years of grind and disappointment could paint. Sharp hazel eyes scanned the room, keen and untrusting. She wore a dark blazer that hung slightly loose on her, sign of someone who forgot to eat when a case took hold. She didn't smile, didn't waste time. "Officer Parker," she said, closing the door behind her. "We need to talk." Emily pushed herself upright slowly. The man who saved me, he wasn't with them. He was helping. Laura pulled a chair closer and sat, body angled as if expecting a threat at any moment. "His name is Daniel Hayes, former Navy SEAL. His service record is cleaner than holy water." She looked Emily dead in the eye. "Which is exactly why Sergeant Cole is terrified of him." Emily's heart kicked against her ribs. "Cole's lying," she whispered, the words feeling both terrifying and freeing. "Why would he?" Laura raised a hand. "Because he's dirty." She said it like a surgeon making a precise incision. "Evidence has been disappearing from lockers. Case files corrupted. Gang intel leaked. Cole shuts down every question before it breathes." She paused. "You were shot with ammo listed missing from our evidence room." Emily's breath caught. "So he tried to have me killed." Laura nodded once, slowly. "And he's trying to pin it on the convenient stranger who was actually your guardian angel." Emily clenched her fists, trembling from more than pain. "Where is he now?" "Jail. And his dog, Hunter, is caged at animal control under aggressive classification." Laura's lips tightened in disgust. "Cole's making sure neither of them can talk." Emily swung her legs off the bed, wincing through the agony. "Get me discharged. We're fixing this." Laura stood, crossing her arms. "Easy, rookie. I like the fire, but you're not walking into Cole's office with a bullet wound and determination." She leaned in, voice dropping low. "We do this smart." Meanwhile, in the police holding unit, Daniel Hayes sat on a cold bench, his wrists cuffed to a metal ring bolted into the wall. His thoughts circled Hunter, his partner, his family. The more he imagined Hunter alone, the tighter the tension coiled inside him. He replayed the gunfight over and over, every missed bullet, every breath he wished he could have shielded Emily from better. The door clanked open. Officer Ryan Blake entered, visibly nervous, his sandy hair flattened from helmet sweat. He glanced around as if walls had ears. His voice was low, cautious. "How did you know where to grab her?" he asked. "Most civilians freeze." "I'm not most civilians," Daniel replied calmly, "and neither were the men who attacked her." Ryan swallowed, his Adam's apple bobbing. He looked younger now, eyes flicking with guilt. "That dog of yours," he said, voice cracking slightly. "He wasn't attacking us. He was protecting her." Daniel's stare softened a fraction. "You know the truth. Why are you telling me this?" Ryan shifted uneasily. Because Sergeant Cole keeps changing his version of what happened. And I heard him on the radio yelling to secure you before checking on Officer Parker. His eyes lifted, meeting Daniel's firmly. That's not what a cop does when one of our own is dying. Before Daniel could respond, the heavy door slammed open. Cole stood there, a storm bottled in a uniform. His expression was tight, a twisted grin that failed to reach those icy eyes. Time's up. Step away, Blake. Ryan flinched and stepped aside instantly, mask back in place. Cole swaggered inside with the control of a man who owned the ground he walked on. "Mr. Hayes," he said mockingly, "your situation gets worse by the minute." Daniel leaned forward, steel in his gaze. "It's you who should start worrying," he said quietly. "The truth has a nasty habit of surviving." Cole's eyes twitched, the smallest crack. Then he turned abruptly, leaving without another word. In her hospital room, Emily dressed herself despite the burning pain, Laura steadying her. Rain streaked the glass as the city exhaled outside. "Ready?" Laura asked. Emily nodded, jaw set, eyes fierce. "For justice," she whispered. And together they stepped out to take back the truth. Night clung to the city like fog as Emily Parker and Detective Laura Mitchell slipped through the back corridors of the precinct. Emily's left arm was secured in a sling, pain medicine dulling but not silencing the fire burning beneath her bandages. Her ponytail swayed behind her, determination giving strength where her body tried to fail. Laura walked slightly ahead, moving with a silent confidence sharpened by decades chasing corruption through shadows. "We move fast, and we move clean," Laura whispered. "Cole is on duty. That buys us time, not safety." Emily nodded. "First, we free Hunter." Her voice wavered, fear not for herself, but for the loyal German shepherd who had bled to protect her. They reached a locked security door. Laura typed a code with steady fingers. The mechanism clicked. Inside, the animal control holding cells stretched into darkness. Emily's heart seized until she heard it. The soft, desperate whine familiar from the alley. "Hunter," she breathed. The dog pressed against the bars as they opened his cage. His coat looked duller, muzzle damp from stress, but his dark eyes lit with recognition. Emily knelt, stroking him with her good hand. "You're okay," she murmured. "We're getting him too." Hunter nuzzled her, protective as always. Next door, Daniel Hayes sat on a bench in a holding cell, ankles shackled. The moment the door swung open, his posture straightened, soldier ready again. His gray eyes widened when he spotted Emily limping toward him. "You should be in a hospital," he said, voice rough with equal parts worry and disbelief. She smiled weakly. "Doctors said walking's good for circulation." Laura unlocked the cuff with a key retrieved from her coat pocket. Borrowed, not stolen. "Hayes, we have one shot to prove Cole's guilt," she said, "and you're the only one who can help us survive the attempt." Daniel didn't ask how she got clearance. He didn't hesitate. "What's the plan?" Hunter pressed against Daniel's legs, tail thudding against the wall, reunited as though the world was finally right again. Laura handed Daniel a sealed folder. "Financial records. Cole is working with the Harbor Serpents. He's meeting them tonight at a warehouse on Pier 12. If we get him on recording, he can't walk out of this." "No backup?" Daniel asked. Laura's jaw tightened. "I don't know who we can trust. It's just us." Daniel fitted the wire beneath his shirt while Emily kept lookout. His fingers trembled not out of fear, but because Emily was standing close, breaths overlapping, a bond unspoken but undeniable. Hunter paced beside them, eager to move, instincts crackling. The warehouse loomed like a rusted beast beside the churning sea. A single van sat parked at the loading dock. They spread out. Emily and Hunter behind stacked shipping crates. Laura crouched in the shadows of a forklift. Daniel approached the meeting spot. 3 familiar gang members emerged. The scarred one nursed his bandaged arm, hatred twisting his face. "You said she'd be dead," he spat. "I said she would be taken care of," replied Sergeant Bradley Cole, stepping forward. His appearance remained impeccable, uniform crisp, sandy hair neat, but the veneer of authority cracked under the weight of his crimes. "Now focus. The guns are packed. When they're offshore, our connection is gone." Daniel stepped closer, voice cold. "Funny, because yours ends right now." Cole's head snapped toward him, surprise and fury coiling into a snarl. "You!" He reached for his weapon. Laura's voice cut through the air from behind. "Drop it, Cole. Internal Affairs has been listening this whole time." She emerged with her badge raised, unwavering. Behind her, 2 IA officers stormed in, one short and stocky, with a scruffy beard and stern brown eyes, the other tall and thin with silver-rimmed glasses and a calm precision about him, both white, both prepared to end this betrayal. The gang members bolted for the van, but Hunter exploded into motion, intercepting the scarred man and pinning him with a thunderous bark that echoed off steel walls. The other criminals were swiftly taken down by the arriving officers. Cole froze, surrounded, his empire of lies collapsing. Emily stepped out from cover despite the pain, eyes locked on the man who betrayed his badge. "You tried to kill me," she said, voice trembling with fury. Cole's face paled with the realizations that his web had torn apart. He let his gun clatter to the concrete. Daniel exhaled shakily. "It's over." The sun rose slowly over Elliott Bay, soft gold painting the sky. Hours later, in the front lobby of the precinct, Daniel signed the last of his release papers. Emily stood beside him, her smile brighter now, no longer forced. Hunter sat between them like a guardian angel who refused to rest. "You saved me," Emily whispered. Daniel shook his head gently. "We saved each other." Laura approached, exhaustion softened by relief. "You two make a good team," she said. "Seattle could use people like you." It wasn't a command. It was an invitation to stay, to rebuild. Hunter nudged Emily's hand into Daniel's. Their eyes met, unexpected future unfolding in that touch. For the first time in a long time, Daniel felt the possibility of home. In the darkest moments of our lives, when fear closes in and hope feels distant, sometimes a miracle appears in the simplest form. A stranger who chooses courage, a loyal dog who refuses to give up, a heart that still believes in what is right. The world might call it luck, but those who trust in God know better. These moments are His gentle reminders. You are not alone. He is still watching. He is still working. God never promised life would be easy, but He promised we would never face it without His love beside us. Just like Daniel never expected to become a hero, just like Hunter only wanted to protect, and just like Emily kept believing in justice despite the pain, they were guided to each other for a purpose, and that purpose became their miracle. In everyday life, you may be fighting silent battles, wounds the world can't see. But trust this: God sees you, God loves you, and he has a miracle prepared just for you.